guys, welcome back. My name is Ashmit Dua, and I'll be talking about the memoir Every Falling Star by Sung-Ju Lee. This is the final episode in a three-part series. In the previous two episodes, we talked about how Sung-Ju was forced to leave Pyongyang and live a beggar's life. He had to create a gang and face the challenges that life threw at him. In this episode, we'll talk about the adversity Sung-Ju and his gang faced and how they handled them. There are many acts of adversity that Sung-Ju and his gang faced throughout the 100 pages. For example, Sung-Ju and his gang had to steal from farms to stay alive. This resulted in all six of them going to the Guhusu, which is a prison for street children. While they were there, they were forced to do dirty tasks such as clean toilets and many other things. This piece of adversity was very impactful in Sung-Ju's life since he learned many things, good and bad, he did not know before. Lee discovered that he is stronger than he had thought and is not dependent on anybody. He doesn't need anybody to rely on since he has himself. Sung-Ju handled this adversity by complying with the manager's orders properly and not going out of line, since if he did, it would cost him his life. Furthermore, another piece of adversity that Sung-Ju faced was his very first friend, Young Bum, who taught Lee everything, died due to getting hit by a club multiple times. Sung-Ju handled this adversity by drinking great amounts of Sol, which is alcohol in Korean, to make the sorrow go away. This only put him in more danger though. This piece of adversity changed Sung-Ju and made him into a murderer. He would start a fight with anybody since he was still coping over Young Bum's death. After this piece of adversity, Sung-Ju learned multiple things. 1. For example, he learned that his government, which he's trusted ever since birth, is a liar. They did not help anybody out, but only put them in danger. Lee learned that he should never trust anybody, even if he had known them your whole life. This changed Sung-Ju's life since he was very cautious around new people in the future. In addition, Sung-Ju learned that hope drives passion and makes you more powerful. Sung-Ju always wanted to find his parents and always had that faith that they were alive. Once Lee found his father, he had become a much stronger individual than before. There are many narrative techniques that Sung-Ju used throughout the course of the 100 pages. For example, Lee greatly used conflict/tension to engage the reader in the story. This narrative technique would add a moment of suspense that the audience was not expecting. It was something like a sudden twist in a horror movie. This narrative technique was greatly used since it kept the reader interested in waiting for what would happen next. They would try to infer the next event and be flabbergasted when it was completely different than what they predicted. Furthermore, another narrative technique that was used in the memoir was setting/description. Lee would describe the setting in such a manner that the reader would imagine that they were standing next to the protagonist. They could see the setting the characters were in and compare it to their own. Sung-Ju Lee used this type of narrative technique since Lee wanted to show the intense setting of North Korea. He wanted to show it was regular to have kids stealing in the market, smoking in a bar, and burying their friend in a grave. This story stirred great humility in me. Sung-Ju faced such difficult hardships and still survived through all of them with the will to live. I believe my life is much more different from Sung-Ju's since I did not have to face such hardships as Sung-Ju faced. Also, I have a good life and always have something to eat, unlike kids in North Korea. One call to action that's being implemented in my heart is donating to a charity that helps kids like Sung-Ju live a happy, beautiful life. They should live the same life I live, go to school and get their education, and come back to food on the table. This story makes me feel grateful for having a lovely life. I go to school every day, play multiple sports, and have food to survive. One fear that this story imparted into me was the United States government could have been a dictatorship like North Korea when it was created. I would have been terrified if this were to occur. One lesson that I learned was always have faith and you will succeed. Sung-Ju never gave up and still had faith and was able to make it to South Korea where he met his father. So, thank you for listening to these podcasts. I hope you enjoyed them. A quick summary of the book is we had talked about how Sung-Ju was forced to live a life with no adult supervision. He had to fend for himself and look out for himself until he formed a gang. That gang was like a second family and always did everything together. Once Sungju found his real father, he had to leave his whole gang behind. At first, it was heartbreaking, but Sungju later on learned how to cope. The main lesson of this book is never lose hope and you will succeed in life. Sungju's whole life is represented by this message. So that is it from me. I hope you enjoyed this three-part series about Sungju's life and the adversity he faced. Thank you for sticking along, and this is Ashmedua signing off.